Hi, good morning. Myself, Dr. R. Kalaivani, Assistant Professor of History, SFO College for Women, Sivagasi. In today's class, we are going to discuss about Great Revolt of 1857. So, what are the objectives of this subject? From this topic, we are going to learn about the Great Revolt that happened in southern India. So, now we'll move on to the topic. So, Great Revolt of 1857, it was also known as First War of Independence. Actually, this name it was given by B.D. Savarkar. He wrote one book in the name First War of Independence. It was started in the year 10th May 1857. Actually, when it was started, it was a Chipai mutiny. Most of the leaders in this mutiny are Chipais. It was mainly concentrated across the vast region of northern India. So most of the southern people, they did not know about this revolt. So now we'll move on to the causes. So many causes led to this revolt. First one, political causes. So under political causes, we are going to see about first topic, doctrine of lapse. Doctrine of lapse, it was introduced by Lord Dalhousie. So what is the theme of this policy means? The king or queen, those who didn't have had their territories were annexed by the British. So under this scheme, most of the places, Sadara, Jhansi and Nagpur, most of the places were annexed with British. And then disrespect to rulers. Most of the Indian rulers, they were not liked by the Indian people. Example, Bahadur Shah II. At the time of this revolt, he was the ruler. He was unliked by the Indian people because he was a puppet under British rule. And then loss of privileges. Under British rule, next to king like landlords, zamindar and princes, they lost their importance. And then erosion of local authority. Most of the British policies, the British they introduced so many policies. These policies it created trouble against the tribal leaders, and then it created a chaos or unrest among the people. So these were the political causes. Next we move on to economic causes. So many economic policies led to this revolt. Actually, when the British they came to India, they started their work as a traders, and when they know about the Indian economy, they try to establish their rule in India. So economic causes, we were exploited by the British at all situations. So first one, drain of wealth. Most of the resources, actually British people, they produce their product with the help of us, and then they use our raw materials. They sold our products in India. This was the main cause. Second one, so many revenue policies, land revenue policies was introduced by British. It was against the local people. And then destruction of the industries and agricultural exploitation. In this, for the welfare of them, the British people, they cultivated indigo. So it created unrest among the Indian farmers. And next to that, social causes. Social causes, first concept, racial discrimination. British, they followed the racial discrimination policy against the Indians. And then religious interference. Indians by birth, they were superstitious, they have superstitious beliefs, but the policies introduced by the English, it were against the Indians. And then missionary activities. British people, they came to India as a missionaries, and they created their religion in India. They tried to convert our Indian people into Christianity. And then loss of religious and social prestige. So most of the Orthodox Hindus, they feel that their religions were under the control of the British. And administrative factors, centralized control. British, even though we have a king on behalf of Indians, but the overall control were in the hands of the British. And then land revenue policies, Jamindari, Rayadwari, and then so many land revenue policies, it were against the Indians. And then military discontents, the recruitment policies or whatever it is, it was done under the British, and most of the posting were held by the British people. So it created widespread dissatisfactions among the Indians. And then so many causes, even though led to the revolt, one of the immediate cause of this revolt was the use of or introduce of Enfield rifle. Actually, this rifle, it was greased with the fat of cow and pig. So this created discontent and anger among the Hindus and the Muslims. So against this, in first at Meerut, Mangal Bande, he was the first Chipai, he was against the British. And then when we analyze this revolt, we have some chronological or timeline. Actually, this revolt, it was started in 10th May 1857, already we have seen. So 29th March 1857 in Mangal Bande at Parakpur, he was the first man who was against the British. And then 24th April 1857, this revolt, actually it moved on to the next place. 9th May 1857, nearly 85 Sipais, they were imprisoned by the British. And then 10th May 1857, in this revolt, it spread into Delhi. And then in May 1857, March, to Delhi, the Chipais along with the civilians, actually from starting it was against the British by the Chipais, but at last most of the people also involved in this one. And then under Nana Sahib's leadership, most of the people at Kanpur, they were against the British. And next to that Kanpur, Lucknow and Gwalior also under this revolt. And who are the leaders? This revolt, even though it was against the British in northern side, most of the leaders, they played a dominant role. First one, Bahat Khan, he was from Delhi. And then Begum Hasrat Mahal, she was from Lucknow, she was against the British. Rani Lakshmi Bai, she belonged to Jhansi. Actually, he affected by doctrine of lapse, so he was against the British. And then Nana Sahib at Kanpur, he led the rebellion at Kanpur. And then Kunwar Singh, he was in Bihar, he was against that, Tandiya Dop. And what are the causes? Even though we have this much of leaders and this much of effort, we have a failure in this revolt. So what are the causes? The failure of the revolt can be attributed to number of internal and external factors. So lack of unity among the rebels or Indians, and lack of unified program, or we don't have a lack of good leader. This was one of the reason for failure. And then absence of support from educated Indians. Most of the educated people, they were support to the British and they were not supportive to this revolt. Military superiority of the British. What were the methods we have used? It was old, but the British, what methods they were used, that are all new techniques, and then because of that they got success. Weak leadership, and then limited support from Indian princes and chiefs. Many of the Indian chiefs or many leaders, they have a belief, or they were very loyal to the British. And then use of brutal tactics. Most of the British people, for their welfare, they use a brutal or violent method against the British. And then next one, consequences. So it have a far-reaching consequences. So what are the consequences? Divide and rule policy. According to that revolt in India, divide and rule policy was happened, and then there was a changes in military organization. After the 1857 revolt, India was under the direct control of Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria proclamation also proclaimed, and then divide and rule policy also followed by the British. New policies towards the princely state. Actually, through annexation, British people, they annexed all the places with them. Thank you. You may have some points from this topic. Thank you.